Welcome back. There's my big brother. How you doing today, brother? You feeling all right?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, man. Tonight, this subject is so important. I'm like a person at a stoplight in a car that's like a kid that just got his license. And as soon as the light turns green, instead of me easing off the gas, I'm gonna floor that thing. We gotta floor it and get right into it because there's a lot to say. And tonight's subject, as we talk about commitment to self, we're gonna ask each other questions and we're gonna ask our audience questions. But I want to start off by just asking you a question about this because
Well,
I think it's important, Chaz.
I was just gonna say real quick before we get started, your viewers, you have an interesting show that you did with brother Kevin on the 4th, which was yesterday. I was just gonna ask real quick if you could touch up the audience. How was that show you and brother Kevin did? And I listened to it, and you guys did an amazing job. What's your take on it?
Yeah, we had to talk about the concept, the word black, because a lot of people use that word "I'm black" and they don't realize that that's a loaded term. And
Okay.
the whole concept of the word black is it takes on a different meaning when you look at us as African Americans, because the way we've been treated in this country, we have a special case against the United States government. And no
Wow.
one else that's come over here from the continent and other places, they can't claim that. So this is why we talk about reparations, and this is why we talk about trying to do things for ourselves. But we can't ignore the fact that the United States government, we have a strong case against them after the 400 plus years of how we've
Mm.
been treated. And we're not going to allow anyone to come over here and try to kick us around and tell us what to do just because they look like us.
Exactly. And I want to just get that off because, like I said, I really appreciate you and brother Kevin. That was a good show, but that is something that needed to be dealt with. So thank you, brothers, for putting in that work. We got a comment in. Sister Barbara says, Hotep Kings, we appreciate you.
As the comments come up, I'm gonna pop them on the screen, but I want to start off by asking you this first question about commitment to self.
Number one, why isn't there a total commitment to self these days among African Americans? Well, I'll just say this because we're too busy. We're in other people's business. We're trying to control other people. We're always trying to figure out what's going on as far as who broke up with who. Did such and such get fired? Did he get evicted from his apartment? Did he not pay his car note? All these kind of things which are involving other people. And then secondly, I'll say real quick, I feel like if we have a nice degree, some money in the bank, a nice car, our kids are well put off in college, we feel like that's it. We
Yeah.
feel like at that point we don't need to do anything else because we set. So what I just said, I believe that's why there isn't a total commitment to self.
And I agree with you 100%, Chaz, because that's something that we have to address. We're talking about a total commitment to self. We're not just talking about not eating certain meats, working out at the gym, drinking a lot of water. All these are aspects, but we're talking about working on the mind, the soul, the body, the emotions. And this is a discussion that we must slow down because I'm telling you now, many of us don't want to we don't want to address that we have issues. And like you said, we're going to get into some of them later on, how we're too busy. We're so busy doing nothing, but yet we
Mm.
find ourselves not being able to commit to ourselves.
Sister Marie's in the building. She says Hotep Kings. Hey, we
Yeah, and
appreciate your
this
comment.
this is a problem, Chaz. Here's another question.
Number two says, why are we committed to many things, but important overall growth doesn't seem to be important? And I'm looking down here because I'm looking at my little notes that I jotted down because, and I got to put this in here. We feel like we've mastered our chakras. We feel like we mastered our higher self. We
Come
feel
on,
like we
Chaz.
mastered the Bible. We read it front and back. We're a Bible
Yeah,
scholar. Well, I
yeah,
think
yeah.
spiritually, brother, I'll just say this real quick. Spiritually, I feel like when we feel like we've reached a certain level in these certain topics, we feel like that's the end all be all. Nothing else needs to be said. Nothing else needs to be done. And that's just it. And I think that's in most of the reason why our overall growth, we feel like it's not that important.
You're absolutely correct, Chaz, because we're committed to a lot of things. We're so committed to social media. Some of
Mm.
us, some of us are so messed up mentally. We don't see it, but we get on social media all the time, throughout the
Mm.
day, throughout the night, when we wake up, when we go to the bathroom, when we eat. Everything we do is social media oriented. So we're committed to that.
Mm.
Some of us go to the gym, we work out, we pump that iron, we want the muscles right. Some of us, like I said earlier, we are committed to not drinking sodas. We drink water, which is healthy for us. Some of us stay away from salt. Some of us are doing yoga. Some of us are going to religious classes, spiritual classes. But the most important overall growth thing that we should be doing is talking about our whole health, Chazz, because you're not just what you eat. You're not what you drink. You have to look at your mind. Some of us never read. All we do is watch TV. All we do is look at a cell phone. All we do is look at sports. All we do is listen to music. All we do are all these things, and we have to press the gas real fast to let people know that our overall health is important. We're not just talking about our physical health. We're talking about our mental health, our psychological health. Our kids are crazy, many of them. Many of us adults, we are crazy because we don't look at our overall growth, Chazz. And that's a major issue right there.
You're absolutely right. Sister Barbara fires away. She says, how can we have total commitment to self when many of us don't recognize nor know thyself? I'll let you take that.
She hit that. She hit that right on the head, because commitment starts with knowing who we are. And because these religions and also the things we're into, they don't talk about looking internally. They always talk about waiting for somebody to come and save you, waiting for somebody to come and rescue you. Captain Save-A-Ho. We always talk about. No, Chazz, let's talk tonight. We're always talking about somebody coming and rescuing you and sweeping you off your feet and taking you away at the last minute, because this is the mindset of a sick generation. And so because we don't want to look within and see that we have some serious problems, so we don't want to commit to our problems, like our lying, our cheating, our stealing, our not ethical, are not reading, are not studying, are not debating, are not eating right, are not health issues, and all of those things. So we don't know ourselves, and she's right. That's why we can't commit to ourselves.
You said it absolutely. Sister Mashonda's in the building. She says, "Hey, Sister Mashonda."
Yeah, that's important, man. Would you say this, Chazz? Let me ask you this: would you say that when a person neglects themselves, would you say that's some form of abuse?
I would. Anytime a man or a woman who is unable or is unwilling to take care of their own essential needs, that could be things such as their health, their surroundings, or they sometimes tend to have an unhealthy obsession with hoarding. Yes, brother, that's self-neglect. I'm sorry, that's abuse. Anytime that you are able, and brother, we know what these things are. Most of us do. We choose not to because we feel like, oh, it ain't that bad. Oh, I'll put it off into next week. And to me, I would say that is abuse. Wouldn't you say?
I would absolutely concur or agree with you, because here's what I want to use as an example. If a person takes a child that's, let's say, 10 years old, and they never provide for that child is always dirty. That child is always hungry. That child is sick because the parent or the guardian isn't taking care of that child. When you and I go in the house, we're going to look at each other, and when we leave, we're going to say, so-and-so ought to be ashamed of themselves because they're neglecting that child. The child never goes outside. The child is not eating healthy. And we would have a point when we say that. But check this out, though, Chazz. Check this out. If that is abuse and neglect, then it is, because you're not taking care of that child. What do you say about the people who are not taking care of themselves?
Wow.
What do you say about the people who are not taking care of themselves? We are neglecting our very souls, man. And this is why when we have discussions like this, a lot of people run and hide because we don't want to talk about how we can better ourselves, because we're too busy neglecting ourselves. We're too busy using ourselves.
You're absolutely right, brother. You're absolutely right. Number 4 says, at what stage of life would you say that we gave up on self? And I'm looking down here, and I'll say that age that we found out that we couldn't be this mega CEO, this entrepreneur that has businesses galore, who's flying over, taking private jets, private flights. Listen, and I'm not blaming all of this on the media, but most of it, I believe, comes from the media, where we feel like we haven't lived up to their standards and we're not driving Rolls Royces, Bentleys, all this kind of stuff. I believe that's when we start to give up. And sometimes our friends and family, brother, when we see that we feel like we're not living up to their standards, because they'll tell us in a slight way, "Oh, you still ain't got that degree? Boy,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you doing with yourself? Or girl,
Right,
what
right,
you doing with yourself?"
right.
Those are some of the times where I believe where we gave up on ourselves, especially when the media, we're not living up to their standards.
Yeah, we gave up on ourselves, many of us, a long time ago. But the problem with that is many of us don't know that we gave up on ourselves. See,
Mm.
we think that we haven't given up on ourselves, but if you look at our minds, how we haven't read a book in almost 30 or 40 or 50 years. I'm talking about something that's teaching us how to think, how to live, how to treat people, how to do what we have to do to survive. These are the things that we have neglected. So we've given up on ourselves. We've given up on ourselves when that man or that woman that we wanted didn't want it.
Uh-oh.
See, when that person turned their back on us, or when our parents or someone passed away, we said, forget life. I have nothing to live for. And this is why most of us live in a fantasy world. In other words, I want to say this, Chazz, and you can fill in the blank. I think I said it yesterday with Brother Kevin. I'm going to say it with you. I'm going to be honest now and tell you this.
Okay.
Instead of helping ourselves and being committed to ourselves, we full of you know what. That's all I can say. Now, we are, many of us are full of you know what, and you can put the word in where you need to, because we're hypocrites. We're not we're not interested in looking within the heart and saying, I'm going to be committed to myself. You know, we procrastinate on everything. We're always late, and we're late in our own lives, because by now you and I shouldn't be as big liars as we are. And because we procrastinated so many years, now we are liars and we're running late in fixing that. And now we're troubled because we don't know what to do, because we're old as dirt now, and we don't want to take care of the things that we should be taking care of.
And before I go to the next point, I'm just going to highlight something that you just said that I never looked at, which is an interesting point where you said where we've given up on ourselves and we didn't even recognize it. That is a scary spot to be in, because now that you said that, I believe, and I agree with you 1,000%. I believe a lot of us have, and doesn't even and when you can't even recognize it, that's just a terrible, terrible spot to be in. So you're spot on. On the next one, number 5, it says, why don't we see that the overall well-being is important to an individual, which is key?
Yeah, Chaz, now this is something I want to say.
Okay.
Why don't we see it? It's because we're blinded. We're blinded. We're blinded by things. We're blinded by all types of these issues that have come into our lives and have ravaged our hearts, have taken us off key. Do you know, Chaz, that it is hard nowadays to have a serious conversation with someone, because they think they know everything. They always running their mouths. We always have to be right, instead of you and I putting our 2 cents together and saying the goal of this conversation is that we both learn. You don't know it all, I don't know it all. But because we're not committed to growth, see, we always want to be right. We always got to have the last words. And we don't see that the overall well-being of an individual is the key. It's not just you not drinking water. It's just you not just drinking alcohol. It's not just you staying away from dope. It's not just certain things. See, we think if we do certain things, we good. But the point of the matter is, we don't look at the holistic person. And this is why that whole key that we're talking about has been lost, and we do not know where to find it.
Yeah, and I was just going to add it, brother. I was going to say this. I just think a lot of us, we don't care. A lot of us are just at a point in our lives where we don't care. We're not caring about really anything right now. We're so committed to ourselves and our jobs and sometimes our little hobbies. But I don't think that we care anymore. And that's the bulk of what I was going to say about number 5 is just, brother, we don't care.
And then some of our kids, Chaz, let's talk like this now. Let's talk like this. Some of our children, as old as they are, I'm not talking about the youth. Okay. As old as our children are, they have driven us insane. And so now our whole world evolves around our grown, you know what, children. So now here we are, so committed to them that we don't even have a life anymore. We're in prison, man. We're in prison, Chazz, and we don't get out of prison because every time the door is open, instead of us running out of the cell, we run back in the cell because these children, grown children, are so embedded in our minds, our psyches. This is all we do. And so we don't want to be committed to ourselves because we don't know how, Chazz.
Absolutely. Number 6, you got on the screen, it says, what about the so-called New Year's mindset that many of us have about ourselves, saying, I'm going to get myself together, but never do? And we've had a show on this, and I'll just touch up on this again. I think at the beginning of the year, this is something that's trendy. Everybody's posting about a new year, new me. I'm going to stop smoking cigarettes. I'm going to lose weight. Brother, we start off hot. We start off on fire. We start off ready to go. But then within a week or 2 weeks or sometimes a day, we see that it's tough, it's hard, it's difficult. So we shut down. And I think our intentions, we mean well. We really do want to do these things. But brother, we first of all, I think it's a terrible spot to be in because you shouldn't wait for a year to correct something. You should just do that right then. And whatever you need help with, do it right then and there. Teach. Second of all, I think a lot of it is just because we are so caught up with these memes and all this stuff on social media where it's trendy. And like I said, once we get in it, we dive in it, we're starting off on fire. But brother, within a week, the flame goes out. And at that point, we see it's too tough, so we just give up.
You know, Chazz, a lot of us, we say this year at the beginning, it's normally at the end of the year around November and December, we say, I'm going to get myself together. I'm going to start doing A. I'm not going to let this happen. B. I'm not going to let this happen. C. I'm going to start doing D. I'm going to start doing E. And we mean well, like you said. But the question is, we're not even in August yet. How are those resolutions going? We back into the same bull, you know what, that we were in. In fact, like you always say, it's worse now than it was when we said we were going to get out of it. And so we keep playing games with ourselves. Every year we say things to make ourselves feel good. I'm going to stop doing this. I ain't going to let this happen to me. And now, because we're not committed to us, we're doing the same things. And in some instances, we're doing a lot worse now because we're not doing what's at the bottom of that screen. And that is this. We are not committed to ourselves. We're committed to everything but the self.
And I would say real quick, we want a quick fix. And I keep saying this. I do feel sorry for the alcoholics or the people who do dope. And they do really mean well, brother. And when they relapse, and I've said this before, and I'll just say it real quick and I'll move on. When they go 4, 5, 6 weeks without doing alcohol, what have you, brother, when they relapse, they make up for all that time that they missed. And so now it's even at a terrible spot for that individual. And some of them never make it back out.
And I got to say this too, Chazz. I got to say this before we go to this point, because some of us, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and all of those kids that look up to us, they see that we're not committed to ourselves. And we don't believe it. We think that when these kids look at us, they see us as these genies and these gods and goddesses, okay? But they see us as all of these things. But as they grow up, Chazz, they repeat the same process because we don't sit these children down and say, hey, you have to work on yourself. In case in point, you've got to stop lying so much at a young age. You got to stop procrastinating at a young age. You got to stop always looking for a person with the eye gate, thinking that what you see is good. Because when you get what you see, you find out that it's not as good as it's all cracked up to be. And now you got a problem because you've allowed the media and you've allowed your mama and your daddy and your cousins and my sisters and my brothers and all of my relatives. I've allowed them to get me so off track that I don't know how to get back to work on ourselves. And this is why I run into these places. It's not helping. It's not helping at all.
Yeah, that's a good little rant that you went on right there, brother. As we move on, number 7, it says many of us start to work on ourselves, but then we allow other things to distract us. I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, and I know, Chazz, because Some of us do. Like I said, we start off, I'm going to stop procrastinating. I keep staying on that, but that's just what I want to talk about now. I'm going to start being on time. I'm going to start doing what I say I'm going to do. And we do that. We do that for like maybe 3 or 4 months. And we look at ourselves, we pat ourselves on the back and say, I'm really working on myself. Then we start something else and say, I'm going to stop talking to people the way I do with disrespect. And we stop talking to people that way. But then, Chazz, something happens in our lives to get us off track. So now we revert back to the same old vomit that we left. We begin to start procrastinating again. We begin to start talking to people any kind of way. We begin to not helping our children, helping our relatives. We are a sick people. Many of us are. All of us are not, but many of us are sick. And the sad thing is, we don't know that we're sick. So therefore, commitment to self is not important to us because we got too many irons in the fire.
Yeah, I was just going to touch that up and say that, like, I feel like if we are trying to stop doing certain things or certain habits, I believe taking it one step at a time, because I think what happens, brother, we have so many, but we're trying to stop this, we're trying to stop that, we're trying to stop that. And you can't really grasp all that at once. So I would say, I'll just ask you, don't you think it will be a little bit easier for an individual just to take one at a time? Because it just appears when you grabbing onto all these things, it slips out of your hand.
Yeah, and you know what though, Chazz? Let me tell you about that taking one thing at a time deal. You're right in theory, but it's like a bull trying to grab that bull by the horns. Now, when you grab that bull, you know you in for a ride. You in for the ride of your life. So you grab the bull by the horn, and that bull gets to throwing you and I all over, slinging us from pillar to post, dragging us all in the mud. And instead of holding on, saying, I knew it was going to be tough, I knew the ride was going to be tough, we let the horns go. I ain't going through that mud. This hurts me. And this is why we are the way we are, because we don't want to grab onto the horns and hold on to them. We want to grab onto them and tell everybody, look at me, y'all. I'm grabbing this thing. Look at me. And they say, you look good, y'all. But then my glasses are all twisted up, mud in my face. And you say, John, what happened? Man, I ain't holding that bull, man. I'm letting that thing go. Man, that thing is, you saw how that thing did me. And this is how hypocritical most of us, you and I are included, and everybody, but this is how we are, because we allow certain things to distract us. Okay. If we can't get our way, we stop. Or if we want something and we don't get it, we feel like we're giving up on ourselves. And this is why a lot of us are as crazy as Betsy bugs, but we don't look at ourselves that way, because we think because we have a job, because we're paying our bills, because we're doing different things, we feel like we're okay. But a lot of us, we have a lot of problems because of what's running on the bottom of that screen, and that is commitment to ourselves.
And I was going to say with your analogy with the Bulls, so basically you're saying at the end of the day, when stuff gets too tough or it's hot, that's when we really want to let go. That basically we don't want it no more.
And we know it. Chazz, listen, I know if I have a foul mouth, in other words, every other word is vulgarity. And I'm telling you, Chazz, I'm going to start working on that vulgarity. I'm going to start talking to people the way that I would love to be talked to. And then somebody makes me angry. Now, there's my opportunity to stop doing what I said. But because I'm not serious about my commitment to myself, I'm going to throw that word and throw them words back at you and not even think about it. But then when I get around other people that are holier than thou, that are happy, that has a cross, or that has an ankh, or has a crescent moon, then I want to be holier than thou. See, and this is why we're in the predicament that we're in, because too many of us are so weak that we don't want to sit down and say, I need to work on myself, and this is where I'm going to start. Don't ask me where you need to start. You don't, and I'm not going to ask you where I need to start. I know where I need to start, but I don't want to do it.
Exactly. Number 8, life is all about a proper balance. That's why the total person shouldn't be neglected. Yeah, it is about balance. And we say this a lot. You can't do all this stuff at once. It is about balance. Take one step at a time. And when I say one step at a time, don't overdo it, meaning you work on one thing and that takes you 8 or 9 months. No, be realistic. Because, see, that's what a lot of us do. Oh, he said to just take it. No, you need to make it at a reasonable what you call a reasonable time frame, and then keep being progressive and keep it going, but and don't overdo it, because when we feel like we don't get all these things accomplished at once, we start to go crazy. We start to
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
ourselves, we question others, we question what's going on. So I'll say balance is also in it. It keep and I keep going back to this, but our mental health.
Oh
That's
boy.
the main one that we need to have balance.
Good
That's
teeth.
the
Yes.
main one that we need to have balance with.
Yeah, and the word that sticks out to me on this point is proper. In other words, life is all about a proper balance. In other words, you can't do too much of one thing all the time. You got to be balanced. Like you said, your mindset, my mindset has to be balanced. But see, we don't even know how to talk to people anymore. If you ask me, Brother Jahi, I'm like, what's up, Chazz? You say, I noticed you got a new cell phone. And then you continue to ask me questions about the cell phone. Instead of me articulating, yeah, I got it, man, because my old one was messed up or because I wanted to get it, I'm going to get smart with you. Why are you worried about my cell phone? Don't worry about my cell phone. See, this is the kind of stuff that I'm trying to get you to see, how we can't even respond to one another. That lets me know that we're sick up here, see, because a person that's insane, that's out of balance. In most of our lives, I keep saying this, yours and mine included, our lives are out of balance, Chazz. And the sad thing about it is, instead of us looking at our own selves and say, you know what, Chazz, my life is out of balance. I need to do certain things to get it together. We don't identify that. We don't recognize that. So we live in this fantasy world where we think that we're the smartest, we're the best, we have all the answers, our stuff doesn't stink, but all alone, Chazz, inside of our hearts, those things are killing us because we're not committed to the real self, who we really are.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of this stuff, like I said, I know it sounds cliche, but you go on those rants, and it's not anything else that needs to be said because you really hit them out of the park. They're spot on. It says reasons that many give for not addressing our total well-being. A, lack of time.
Talk
And I
about that,
totally
Chazz.
no.
Talk about
Let me get this real quick. I
that.
totally disagree with that because, brother, we make the things that we really want to do in our lives. We make time for it. So when a person really wants to, like you said, go on that date with that chick or go to the movies with that chick, they're gonna make time for it. If you really want to watch your TV show, you're gonna do it. If you really want to go work out, you're gonna do it. So when a person tells you, now, don't get me wrong. Every now and then you do run out of time, but I would say 80% of the time, when a person says, "Well, I didn't have the time or I ran out," that's because that individual just did not want to do it.
And look at what it says, Chazz. It says we're talking about commitment to self. And we're talking about reasons that many people give for not addressing. So I agree with you. But these are reasons. They're not legitimate, but these are the reasons. And I totally disagree with it too because of this. So you mean to tell me that you're too busy to work on yourself? Now that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense what I just said. You're too busy running all over the city. I'm too busy writing plays. I'm too busy running all over the town. I'm too busy buying things. I'm too busy working. I'm too busy working out. I'm too busy talking about everybody. I'm too busy on social media. I'm too busy in my children's life. I'm too busy griping and complaining that I don't have time to work on myself. That is a foolish thing to do, Chazz, and it needs to be addressed. And we should continue to talk about how we have nothing but time until we leave this place. But this is why people don't want to hear these discussions, because most of us aren't interested in the bottom. And I want to say it all night. Most of us are not interested in the bottom scroll that says commitment to self. We don't want to hear it, Chazz. We don't want to hear it.
Yes. And sometimes, and I said this before, I think sometimes, brother, I really believe a lot of us, we feel like we're adults. We made it to a certain age.
Good point.
We got it all together.
Yeah,
That's what most of it boils down to, I would say.
That's really good right there, because when we get a certain age, I don't care what no one says, we don't realize that I'm beginning to learn more and more that there's two sides to every story. And so when you look at both sides objectively, you can find the happy medium somewhere in the middle to where we can work down the road and we can also solve some of our problems. But because most of us don't look at it that way, and because we use this time thing as an excuse, we continue to be the way that we are. And this is why I've often used this illustration, and I'm going to use it again. And I don't care whether people want to hear it or not. I use this illustration. When you see somebody that's in their 30s, 40s, or 50s, when they were in their teens, they did something that was foolish. They're still doing what they did in their teens, and they're in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And when we say, man, you ain't going to ever change. Woman, you ain't going to ever change. They say, you know me. I'm always going to be this way. So all that time, we wasted, and we going to say we have a lack of time, but yet we wasted all that time straightening out. If you still doing the things you did when you were in high school, you got some problems. Yeah, if I'm still doing the same things that I'm doing in grade school as a grown man, I got some problems, because at some point we should mature and move on with our lives.
B, lack of motivation. Now, I kind of want to push back on that a little bit, brother. That's why I like this show. Sometimes we push back in a nice way, but here's what I say. If you have a right, if you're not hooked up in a wheelchair or in a hospital, if you are a sound man or woman and you know your name and you can talk frequently, lack of motivation, I shouldn't need a man or a woman to tell me to do this, to do that. I shouldn't need a workout buddy to tell me, Shia, are you going to work out today? You need to get off your butt and do this yourself. And a lot of us blame this lack of motivation because of another thing. It's kind of hand in hand. A lack of motivation tends to, we just don't want to do it, and we blame, well, I don't have a partner that's going to get me motivated. Now, don't get me wrong. There is nothing wrong with motivation. You should look up YouTube videos, look up some speeches. But you mean to tell me, as a 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old woman, you don't have motivation, and I need somebody to be my cheerleader? That is terrible.
Now listen, if Steve, and I don't know Brother Steve Harvey, I just use him as an example. But if Steve Harvey motivates you, you're gonna do it.
Right.
If Earth, Wind, and Fire, Lionel Richie, if all these musicians, if all these people, these comedians, if all these people, Wanda Sykes, if all these comedians motivate you, this is why when we work out, and I work out sometimes, and sometimes I listen to music, sometimes I don't. But you see, in people's mindset, you say, well, Jahi, let's go work out today. And I say, Chazz, I ain't going. You say, why not? I gotta have that music, and I lost my phone, so if I don't have that music, I can't go. See how sick that is?
Yeah.
But if a comedian, or if a band player, or if an entertainer or a sports athlete tells me to do it, if LeBron says I gotta do it, I'm gonna go do it, and I'm gonna do it with bells on, because I want to impress, and I want you to see I got that LeBron thing. See, Bron said this. Bron said that. No, this is true, and this is why most of us don't care about ourselves, although we think we do, but we really don't. We really don't, man. We really don't.
Yeah, that lack of motivation is the key. Our sister Mashana Fires in there. She said, and that's foolish. Laugh out loud. Yeah, it is. It really is.
Very foolish.
Sister Barbara Fires in here. She says, some of us are only committed to our personal habits / pleasures. Yeah, and I'll just take this one real quick, because I know I'm passing, but I'll just take this real quick. A lot of us are committed to those habits and pleasures, and this is why we're in the predicament that we're in. A lot of us are. We can't put down a blunt. We can't put down the alcohol.
Come on,
and here's the thing. If there is people who are struggling with these addictions, because we use it, and I want to be clear about this, I'm not coming down on the individual who have these things that are dealing with them. We just use these things as examples, because it seems like a lot of people do have these. But yeah, we're in this condition because of our habits, because of our pleasures. We don't know how to turn it off, and we're just so obsessed with them. And this is why, like I said, we're in the spots that some of us are in.
And I'm going to turn that record over, what you just played. Now, that's a great A side. I'm going to play the B side now, because you notice you said what we can't do, what we won't do. And you're right. I'm going to say what we should do. See, you're saying that some people say, I can't put this down. And I'm saying that a lot of people say, I won't pick this up. I won't pick this up. I won't pick up the right thing. I won't do the right thing for my mind. I won't read a book. I will not debate. I will not study. I will not research. I will not learn how to think. I will not learn how to articulate. I will not learn how to not allow people to take advantage of me. So we playing both sides of that song and the album, and now you see how the truth is on both sides, because some of us won't do anything to help ourselves, and then some of us will not do anything. So basically what you have is a person who has been so messed up psychologically, and that's where it's all in the mind. We'd rather go and work. We're committed to working out. Some of us, we're committed to our phones. We're committed to a lot of things, but we're not committed to looking at the whole person, Chazz. And you're more than just what you eat. As I said earlier, you're more than what you drink. You're more than your mental capacity. You have to look at everything. Your mind has to be together. That's what we mean by total. Not just your mind, but your heart. Not just your heart, your physicality, not just your physicality. It's so many facets of this thing, and this is why we have the situation that we have.
Absolutely. Sister Sakina fires in here. She says, "Peace and blessings to you both." Thank you, Sister Sakina. I appreciate that.
Beautiful, sister. But what in the chest? I'm gonna let you have this next one as to why we're not committed to ourselves. Here it is.
Number C. Stress, worry, and concern about things. Now, as they say, you stressing about an individual or stressing about a certain thing, that's not going to change anything. In fact, we said this in the other broadcast, it's going to make your mental health go down. It's going to make your blood pressure go up. It's going to do a lot of things to your body stressing, worrying, night, biting the fingernails, checking the phone every 5 seconds to see if something really did happen. And listen, here's the thing about it, brother. Some of the things that we're worried about, sometimes they never even happen at all. They don't happen at all. And here we are. We done wasted all this energy obsessing over something that may not never happen. Let things play out. Whatever happens is going to happen. But you stressing about it, please don't do that, because it's not worth you getting your blood pressure and cholesterol and hooked up to IVs in the hospital. It's not worth it.
Well, you on a roll tonight, Chaz. You on a roll, and I want to jump in and get some of that. I got to get some of that, because here's the deal. The commitment to self is an issue because most of us are too stressed out to work on ourselves. We're so worried. Every other day, there's something that we're actually worried about. Do you not know that many of us are not getting enough sleep tonight?
Yeah.
Because we're worried about something. You know, many of us are so stressed out. We're stressed out about bills. We're stressed out because we're getting older and no one seems to like us like we thought they would. The time is running out. This thing is, we know that it's almost over. Some of us know we're getting ready to leave this earth and we're scared. We're scared. So we're worried. We're worried about our kids. What's going to happen to our kids? What's going to happen to our grandkids? See, these are the things that are getting us up in the air. We're so concerned about all these things. And like you said, a lot of these things are going to take care of themselves. But unfortunately, we can't have this discussion because a lot of us don't want to look in the mirror at ourselves and do something about it. I'm tired of us talking about Michael Jackson's old song when he says, I'm talking about the man in the mirror. Okay, quit looking in the mirror and do something about what you see, because we always want to look in the mirror. I'm looking in the mirror at myself. No, Negro, don't look in the mirror. Do something about what you see. And that's our problem, Chaz.
Absolutely. Letter D, it says, cost. Some say it costs money to eat right, go to the gym, etc. That's one of those things that we just talked about a couple points ago. That's an excuse. Now, you don't have to go and buy the what you call the most expensive thing on the shelf. You could Google some cheap remedies on how to do X, Y, Z, or how to go to a gym that's affordable for me, that's in my budget, that I can afford every month. These are things that we should do, but we say, oh, I don't have that money, or I can't go to this store because it costs too much. No, you make time for anything else that you want to do. You just choose not to, and the money shouldn't be an issue, because once again, certain items like food, water, all these things, sometimes, and this is an old saying, and I'm going to just say this and pass it to you, you get what you pay for. So if you go and try to go to the Dollar Tree and get you some water, well, when you taste it and you see it doesn't act right, well, that's what happens. So you have to sometimes spend a bigger buck to improve your health, because it's worth it. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say that too, but I'm going to say this, D. This is a bold-faced lie. This is a lie because here's why. Most of us eat at fast food joints 3 and 4 times a week.
Oh,
Most of us cook fried chicken. We eat fish. We eat hamburgers. We eat French fries. We eat pizzas. We eat
steak.
what we want to eat. So that costs money, you see. So this
Right.
is a lie. This is a bold-faced lie. And the other part where they say, I don't have money to go to the gym. Well, maybe you don't have money to get a membership, but you can get, and I can get my lazy behind up and walk the block. I can get my
Right.
lazy butt up and drive to the park. I can get my
Right.
lazy butt up and lift some cans that's in the cabinets in the kitchen if you want to just kind of keep things toned. And last but not least, we don't want to go to the gym, but we can show chase them men. We can show chase them women.
Uh-oh, you stepping on some toes now, brother.
Let me say this.
Okay.
And I believe this with all my heart. Many of us got Facebook fantasies.
Oh,
this is why we like people's posts, because we like that person. So we're really chasing after them, but we're doing it with our fingertips. So we always want to like people's posts. We never sit back and say, this is what I got to do. So we don't want to go to the gym, but we want to go to that phone, see? And in our minds, Chazz, we have fallen in love with people that do not even know we exist. And this is how sick, and we'll say it in a minute. I'm following so-and-so. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And these people don't care about us, but because we have sacrificed too much for them, we're going to continue to follow them. Everything they post, we're going to like. Everything you post, I don't have to like, Chazz. Right. I don't have to do that. See, I'm wasting a lot of I'm wasting my time, and as they say, what? The vibrations and the energy. I'm wasting that.
I wanted to take a step further about the gym thing real quick. And all gyms do this, where you a new member, or let's say you haven't worked out in 4 or 5 years or 4 or 5 months, so you want to get back in shape. They have a free, all gyms normally have this that I've seen. They have a free 2 or 3 day trial where you sign up, you sign some help waivers saying that, you know, you're going to go to the gym, and if you hurt yourself, it's not on them, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, you can take a 2 or 3 day free. It's free. You go in there, you work out for 2 or 3 days, and then after it's over with, they have one of their customer service reps. They ask you, hey, did you like it? Do you want to join? And then they go over the prices. So the go to the gym thing is a lot. The YMCA, Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, they all have these plans where you could go for free for 2 days. And you tell me that you won't even take advantage of something that's free. And I thought us as blacks, we love stuff that's free, right?
Right. But see, here's the lie in what this thing says, because we're not committed to ourselves. Because here's the deal. The things I'm going to say doesn't cost. You don't have to worry about going to the gym. As I just said earlier, you can get your behind off that couch and put that cell phone down, and you can walk down the block if you're not in a wheelchair. And if you're in a wheelchair, you can roll down the street for a second. You can do things, Chazz, that doesn't cost money, see? Right. You don't have to buy all that greasy food and put it in your system. Yeah. You can teach your children the importance of being committed to the self. But because we in this country don't want to talk about these things, we rather see someone on TV playing an instrument or telling us a joke or throwing a ball. We don't want to have a grown person discussion because many of us are so mentally, psychologically impaired that we can't sit straight for an hour to look at what in the world is going on in my life. We all need help, Chazz. Yeah. Every one of us need help. The only thing is we're too blind to see that we really, truly are messed up, man.
Absolutely. Sister Sakina fires in here. She says all kinds of exercises on YouTube are free.
For free.
She's right. She's right. And so, these things are free, but these people don't want to take advantage of it because Sister Sakina knows this, you know this, I know it, the audience knows this. We're just not committed in these certain things. That's why we're not taking advantage. But I tell you what, here's the flip, like you say, I'm going to play the other side. If we watch TV and there's a commercial, Burger King, Whataburger, Golden Corral says, for 24 hours, or even for today, we have a special. You can get you a Big Mac for free. I bet you the line would be wrapped around the Golden Corral or Burger King or Chick-fil-A, all these. The cars would be so far, you wouldn't even be able to get in here because that's free. That's something we like. But the things, like I just said, that we don't like, we push it away and we kick it away and we don't want anything to do with it.
That I'm gonna use one of my brother's words, and he always uses a concept called social engineering. In other words, someone has gotten in our minds and they've twisted the wires and they've constructed the wires in such a way that, like you said, once they tell us that this thing that we can get is free, no matter what it does to our body, no matter how it puts us at risk for hypertension, no matter how it does us, no matter how much it gets us in line for diabetes, we don't look at that. And here's what it is. I know we're not committed to self, because if you tell me, Jahi, you need to stay away from salt, okay? That salt is running your blood pressure sky high. Now, and I know you're right. And I see when I check my blood pressure, it's high as a kite. So if I'm committed to myself, guys, it looks like I'm going to pull back on that. But because I'm not committed to myself, I'm going to pile on the salt as if I'm just as young as they come. And then when I'm laying in the hospital or taking 18 different medicines to control my blood pressure, then I want to say the system is rotten. The system is bad, when the bottom line is I'm not committed to me, because it shouldn't take all of that to get me to do the right thing.
Brother, you on the roll tonight. You absolutely on the roll. Letter E, it says, lack of knowledge about the importance of taking care of one total being. Yeah, and I'm just going to say this real quick about the Black community. A lot of us growing up, we didn't really take importance of taking care of ourselves or our total well-being. We push the problems away. We try to cover them up, throw them under a rug to make sure that they don't go anywhere. But they're still going to be there, and we don't care about them. And it's important to take care of these things because it's a combination. When, like we say, if you're not eating right, it's going to affect your mental health. If you're not eating right and your mental health is off, you're going to have health problems.
Right.
To me, it's like they're all in sync together, brother.
Balance. That's that balance. Yeah, that's that balance. But here, I'm going to make a sad statement. I want to make a very sad statement. Here it is. When a person is not committed to themselves, they're in bad shape. Now, we often see a person that gets in an automobile accident and they're alive, but they broke some things, and we go to see them at the hospital. When someone asks us as our friends, we say, how's so-and-so doing? We shake our head and say, they're going to make it, but they in bad shape. They got tubes running everywhere, and they got casts from their neck all the way to their feet. And we say, man, they're in bad shape. But we never look at our own lives to see that because we're not committed to ourselves, Chazz, we're in bad shape, man. We're in bad shape. But yet we don't look at it that way, because we can see all the things that we can do, not knowing that internally we're in a terrible position, and we've tricked ourselves into thinking by going to these buildings every weekend or going to these spiritual meetings when they tell us that somebody else did something for us. That makes us feel good, you see. So now, since somebody did something for us, I don't have to do anything for myself. So I can let myself go down. And we have, all of us, you and me included, we have allowed ourselves to go down. Our children, this broadcast should be one of the most watched broadcasts, not because of you, not because of me, but because of the information that we're sharing is pertinent. This is information that people should be crawling to get, but a Negro will not do this because they don't want to look at the commitment to self, and that's why the mind is so topsy-turvy in all of our lives.
Letter F, develop sedentary habits. Many of us have done nothing to improve ourselves for so long that we all know. I'll let you grab this one.
Yeah, these sedentary habits are just that many of us have done nothing to improve ourselves for so long. That's all we know. What am I saying? The word sedentary means just sitting, doing nothing. And so when this is an illustration in some of our cases. When I was 20, when I was 30, when I was 40, when I was 50, I didn't do much. I just went to work and sat down, came home. Now that I'm retired, I'm doing the same thing because that's what I look forward to. Sitting down and doing nothing. You notice when people retire, they say that I don't want to do anything. So they've given up the fight, man. Our ancestors fought all the way until they died. But most of us want to get to a certain age and we want to sit back and we don't do anything. So we have this sedentary habit, meaning that all we want to do is sit around. And these children see us sitting around. And their children see us sitting around. And then when they say, how was your grandmother? How do you remember your grandfather? All they did was sit in a chair.
Well, and that's a bad spot. And I don't want to keep hitting home about health issues. But when you sit down all that time and you're not getting up and you're not being active, you're going to start to have some health issues. And on top of it, I'm pretty sure, like you said, brother, that individual who work and they retired, I'm pretty sure they probably not eating right. So you combine not eating right and not exercising, you're older, they probably are smoking. There's just so it just appears the older I get, it seems like one problem is connected to another.
Yeah, it is. And here's the thing, Chazz. If I could ask most of our children and grandchildren, now I'm laughing, but it's serious. I would ask them one question. This is about the mental, not about the physical. Because they see us doing certain things, but I would ask the kids this, and the grandkids and the great grandkids. Have you ever seen your grandfather or grandmother or great grandfather, grandmother? Have you ever seen them read a book? And they go say, I've never seen them read a book. Now I've seen them curse me out. I've seen them doing other things, but most kids will say, I have never seen and this is sad. I've never seen my grandparents read a book. They're talking about us.
For the most part, if they do crack open a book, because sometimes Oprah, Steve Harvey, and them, they sell these books, and we'll go to Barnes and Noble, we'll go get that. But if it's like you said, if it's something for our health or something that's going to help us, we're not going to do it. So our grandfathers and our grandparents and our elders who passed away, they probably have read some books, but it was about their favorite people like Steve Harvey and Oprah and them.
But us, Chazz, we're not. Chazz, listen, look at your own life, and I look at my own life. Ask ourselves this question: how many books have we read this year? And I bet you the answer is goose eggs. But how many Facebook pages and likes have you liked this year? How many social media Facebook pages have you gone to this year? How many nights have you got up and checked somebody's Facebook page to see if they posted something? You are sick, you know what? But this is where we are now, Chazz. This is where we are, you see? And this is why we have to have this kind of discussion, man.
Letter G, misinformation. The media has told us that we only go around once, so grab all the gusto that you can get. And they take that out of proportion. They blow that way out of proportion, like they call it YOLO. Well, you only live once, so I'm going to go live like a fool. I'm going to go to the club. I'm going to drink all this liquor. I'm going to get high off all this dope, pop all this Xanax. It's like we don't know, I would say, limits. Just because you only live once doesn't mean to live like a fool. Popping donuts in the street, doing these flips with these motorcycles, just living reckless. Just because you live once doesn't mean you need to live like a fool.
I'm going to take it a step further, Chazz. I'm going to take it a step further. See, most of us, and you said this before months ago, but I'm going to bring this back to your memorization. You said that many people believe in a religion or a spiritual principle. Right. And then you said that the reason that they don't own up to them because they're afraid of what's going to happen at the end. So I'm saying this. We only go around once, they say, but most of us believe in an afterlife. We believe in some kind of afterlife. Yeah. And if there is some kind of creator, if there's some kind of deity, if there's some kind of God, if there's some kind of divine presence, then we know that we're going to go somewhere. We just believe that. We don't know. We don't know. We believe it. But we act like we're afraid because if we keep living the way we're living, you can't get into this place wherever it is, man. I don't care wherever it is. If you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, if you're a spiritual person, wherever we go, you mean to tell me you can do anything under the sun and get in that thing with a pass? So you're a hypocrite, Chazz.
Well, I'll take it just 2 steps real quick on this religion. If you believe in certain things, some people say that reincarnation, that they could come back as something else. So that gives, see, that's another thing. They say that gives them the pass to live like whatever, because they feel like, well, I'll keep getting another crack at life, so I'll come back. But like you said, if it's the other way where you feel like you're going to go somewhere else, it's a terrible spot, then like you said, you should live more cleaner and healthier than what you are. But that whole YOLO, when you only live once, like you said on the screen, brother, the media has fooled us, because you should not be living. And here's the thing, and I'll say this real quick, and I promise I'll pass it. We've all had stages in our life where we did live that way. But at some point, you have to look in the mirror and say, you know what? That was me when I was 22 years old. I did some dumb things. I'm not doing that anymore. But to live a whole life like that.
And Chazz, let me put some icing on the cake. Let me put some icing on the cake. You said that these people that believe that they're coming back as something, they want to live any kind of way. But if you look at the principles, if you live the right way, you don't have to come back. See, you don't have to come back. So this shows a person who's playing games with themselves, because I've often said this, and I will leave this earth believing this. Okay. I'm talking about all of us. Most of us are hypocrites. I believe that with all my heart. We say one thing in our with our mouths, but we're hypocrites because we're not even thinking of trying to do this, and our children don't see us committed to ourselves. Therefore, when they get older, they repeat the same process. Their children repeat the same process. And because we're not looking at shows like this, broadcasts like this, to talk about being committed to the self, building up your self-esteem, building up your emotions, building up your mind, building up your health, building up your actions. See, this is what we should be doing, but most of us don't want to do this because we feel like the game is almost over. So I'm gonna go in with one leg. I'm gonna go in with one leg.
Letter H, peer pressure from family and friends saying you don't need to take care of yourself. You're gonna die anyway. I'll let you have it.
See how unintelligent that is? You don't need to take care of yourself. You're gonna die anyway. By you not taking care of yourself, you're causing your death before the time. By you eating all of this salt, by me eating all this sugar, by you eating all of these sweets, by you not exercising, by you not reading a book, by me not doing a puzzle, by you not walking at the park, by me not taking care of my mental, my internal strength, by you not meditating, by me not treating people rightly. See, all of this shows that you and I don't know what we're talking about. Yes, we're going to leave this place. But if I told you right now, Chazz, go lay down in front of a railroad track, because the train is coming in 3 minutes and it's going to tear you to shreds. You're going to say, big brother, that's the dumbest thing you ever said. And that would be true. Right. Well, how many of us are lying in front of the proverbial railroad tracks by not taking care of ourselves? We're killing ourselves.
That's deep.
We are, man. We really are. And this is why we can't have these kind of discussions, because most of us think we know everything, and we are struggling big time.
Absolutely. I cannot believe that the time has fled this quickly. It looked like we had 58 minutes, but brother, this was a good one. I enjoyed myself as always. And I'll just say my little ending part, and I know you have something to say, but tonight was a good topic. I really appreciate Sister Marie, Sister Mashonda, Sister Sakina, Sister Barbara, all you sisters who came on with us for an hour, shared time with us. Really appreciate it. But tonight's topic was very, very crucial. I'm looking at my notes here. Trying to be in control of things, family. We have to stop worrying. We have to quit putting too much stress on ourselves. Whatever it happens in this life, no matter what you do, no matter how many books you read, these things are going to happen. So some of this we can eliminate if we stop stressing out so much. Stop being so trying to control things. Of course, we do need to commit to ourselves, and it's not only in one spot. Like you mentioned, commit in your mind, commit in exercise, commit in vitamins, water. Try to take care of all things, not all at once, but one thing at a time. Try to do these things to make you a better person. And that's all I had to say. I appreciate you, big brother, for having me on the show, and I'll listen to what you have to say.
Yeah, I want to say that on behalf of Chazz and myself, we appreciate every one of you for watching this broadcast, for tuning in, because you don't have to. Yes, we're strident at times, but yet we speak from a heart of love and a heart of gold. We want to say to all of you, Shem M Hotel, which is we want you to go in peace. but we truly want you to take care of yourself, because when you leave a person, normally they say, I'll see you later, take care of yourself. And we say, okay, I'll see you later, take care of yourself. But we don't do that. We leave and forget the very words that we said, because we go do everything other than take care of ourselves. Your health and my health is at stake. Your mental health, your physical health, your psychological health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, your academic health, your political health, all of our health is at stake. And we're just saying that you have to commit to the self, your total self, not just one part. And this is why we are in the situation that we're in as people, and we don't want that to be, because Chazz and I are involved in this. We're not speaking down to you. You know that we always include ourselves in these subjects, but see, most of us want to be told something that makes us feel good. These truths that we're talking about are nothing more than practical principles that we can all do to make ourselves better people. And so we're saying that we have to commit to ourselves, because listen to this, Chazz. If you don't commit to yourself, no one else will. No one else will. If I don't commit to myself, no one else will. Stop using this internet to take you away from yourself. Stop going on all of these pages, wanting people to see that you're in on their page. Stop it. Stop bragging about these people that you say that you follow that are not teaching you any practical things. Yes, you can follow people. Yes, I can follow people. But make sure you're following people that's going to build you up in your mind, build you up in your soul, build you up in your heart, and not tear you down with gossip, talk, and all this dumb stuff. So brothers and sisters, this has been a marvelous show, because you've come out and you were a part of this. And we want to thank you for that. And our sister says, Shem Hotep, we say to her, Shem Hotep as well, because we truly appreciate y'all coming out. So again, on behalf of Chazz, we'll come back next week and we'll bring up another subject, and be committed to yourself. No matter what people say about you, no matter how you feel about yourself, take care of your total self, not just one aspect, two aspects. So again, we say to all of you, we'll see you next week, and we appreciate you. So have a great time.
Take care, everybody.